Hey y'all, today we're making some steak and chicken fajitas. Okay, so we're going to start by prepping up these vegetables. Now, I was kind of meal prepping these, so I actually did all of the prep work the day before, like on the weekend, and that way when I cooked them during the week, I didn't have to go through all of this. It just made my life a whole lot easier. And you know, a lot of times during the week, y'all know, or most of y'all know, some of y'all know, whatever, I work a full-time job. You know, YouTube is not my full-time job. So I have to work during the week. Some of us have to work during the week, or maybe you have kids you're tending to, or, you just have a busy whatever, or maybe you just don't want to. I prep it all anyway on the weekend, and then I can just cook it during the week and save myself the headache of having to do all this. But I just took about 6 bell peppers because I'm making 2 batches of this, one with steak, one with chicken. So I did 6 bell peppers, and I just got that big bag at Sam's, and then I'm going to do 2 onions, and I'm just going to slice these up into strips, and that's it. I'm going to throw them in that Ziploc bag, and they'll be good to go. Now, if y'all don't have these Ziploc bag holders, y'all got to get y'all some of these. I got mine on Amazon. They're not very expensive. I actually have some linked in my Amazon store if y'all are looking for any, but they make prepping stuff like this so much easier. So there's my vegetables all prepped up. Now we're going to get my meat prepped up. Now, this is not expensive steak, and I know I'm going to get some blowback in the comments about that. But, not everybody can afford to spend $50 on steak to make their fajitas. So, you know what? These are the little inexpensive steaks. I just got a big pack of them, and that's what I'm using. Now, these are going to sit in the refrigerator overnight. So now you certainly don't have to prep these ahead of time. Let me just say that. But if you do, you can put a little marinade on them, and that'll tenderize, help tenderize them a little bit. So don't worry about that. So I just cut my steak into strips, and I'm cutting my chicken breast into strips. I trimmed it up. I'm cutting it into strips. And I'm just going to put all this together, sit it in the refrigerator until I'm ready to use it. Now, I didn't have any fajita seasoning, so I had to make my own. What I used in mine was 4 teaspoons of chili powder. I used 2 teaspoons of cumin. Now, you can make yours however you want, or you can use the packages. Just get you like 2 packages of it for the double batch. But this is just how I make mine. Then I used a 1/2 teaspoon of cayenne. I'm going to put in 2 teaspoons of sugar just to kind of cut the heat, because y'all know I'm a wimp when it comes to heat. And it's not a lot of heat. It's not spicy at all. Then I'm going to add in about 3/4 of a teaspoon, 1/2 teaspoon, somewhere around in there of salt. And then I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of paprika. If you have smoked paprika, that would be fabulous. I just had the regular kind. Then I'm going to add in a teaspoon of oregano, and then a teaspoon each of garlic powder and onion powder. And then I just mix this up. And because I'm doing a double batch, this amount that I make, I used all of this when I made these. I used 1/2 of it on the chicken part and 1/2 of it on the steak part. So that just tells you how much. You can double, triple, whatever this, and then just, store it in like an airtight container, and then you'll just have it anytime you need it. And it won't come with all that extra stuff the packaged stuff comes with. You know what I'm saying? But do however you want. Y'all know I use packages of stuff too. So what I decided to do was cook this all at the same time and just put the camera over there where y'all could just see what I'm doing. So I added a little bit of oil to each of my pans, and I don't have matching anything, so I used my cast iron for one and my other skillet. These are the only 2 skillets I own. So that's what I used. Use whatever you have. So I just try to get it in as single of a layer as I can to let these cook. I really overcrowded the pans, but let's be honest. Are you really going to take all day long to cook this in 15 batches? I think not. So anyway, I added my steak to one pan. I'm adding my chicken to the other pan. No, it's not seasoned yet, but calm down. We're going to put the seasoning we made, remember? So I'm just spreading this out just like I did the steak. And the steak takes a lot less time to cook than the chicken does. So once my steak was done, I just kind of put the lid on it and let it sit until my chicken caught up. You know what I mean? So I just let that sit there until it's ready to flip. And I'm putting about half well, about a quarter of the seasoning on here now. I'm saving half of this to put on when I cook the vegetables. Does that make sense? So I'm using half on each pan, but I'm only using a quarter on the meat, and then I'm going to use the other quarter on the vegetables. Maybe that makes more sense. When your meat is ready to flip, y'all, it'll let go of the pan. If you try to stir it and it's stuck, it's not ready for you to flip it yet. Just leave it there for a few minutes and let it cook, and then it'll release from the pan and you can flip it. So once your meat is ready, and like I said, my steak finished first, I'm going to go ahead and take all the meat out, and I'm going to put it on a pan. Put it on a plate and set it to the side. Now, you don't necessarily have to cook your meat and your vegetables separate. You could have thrown the vegetables in there with the meat, but my pans aren't big enough, so I had to, I do what I had to do. And so I'm putting half of the onions I cut up, so one onion in the pan, and half of those peppers. Now, if you like a lot more peppers, you can definitely cut up and add more peppers. If you don't like as many, then you don't have to use as many. But mine ended up being, for each batch, 1 onion and 3 bell peppers is what I used in my steak, and 1 onion and 3 bell peppers in my chicken. So I'm going to go ahead, get that all mixed up, all that stuff, that the meat left behind in the pan. I'm going to let that get coated all over my vegetables. And then I'm going to add, remember that we didn't use all of the seasoning in the, on the meat. So now I'm going to use half of what's left on here and then save the other half for the peppers that are going to go in with the chicken. Just stir those up, and then you just cook these until they're as tender as you want them to be. I don't like mine crunchy, so I let mine cook a while, let them cook down till they're soft. But if you like yours crunchy, then you don't have to cook them as long. So we're doing the same exact thing with our chicken. Once the chicken was done, you see I've got the lid on my cast iron over there because that part was, ahead of my chicken. So I'm just kind of letting those vegetables steam over there. So I moved my chicken out, I added my vegetables in, seasoned them up, and now, like I said, I'm just going to cook these until they're good and as soft as I want them to be. But again, that's personal preference. You can cook them however long you want them. Once my vegetables were soft, I added my meat back in, all those juices. Make sure you get all them good juices added back in there. And then I just stirred them up, made sure they were seasoned good enough that they didn't need any extra seasoning or anything. You can add whatever. If you like yours, a lot more juice, you could add a little bit of beef broth in there. Whatever you want to do will be just fine. It'll be just fine. Same thing with my chicken. Once my vegetables were soft, I added my chicken back there with all the little juices that was on the chicken, add it all back in there, mix it up. And then you can serve these, you could really just eat them without a tortilla if you wanted to. They're delicious. But, get your tortillas, warm your tortillas up however you warm them up to soften them up to make sure that, you can actually move them around. You know what I'm saying? You don't want them stiff. And then I just roll a few up and put them in the middle of the plate. And y'all, this is it. There was a little bit of juice in each of the pans, but for picture purposes, I didn't put that on here. But that's all there is to it, y'all. Super, super easy, and they are so delicious. So if you haven't made these and you want an easy recipe, here it is. All right, that's all I've got for y'all today, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Bye, y'all.